Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moments. Today is explanation of Swallowed Star episode number 152 based on novel. So let's start. Floating Blood Technique. This was a manual that dissected the universe space law's essence, demonstrating through the many blade forms. Floating Blood's first book was a summary. The second to 109th book were training methods on the 108 wonders. The 110th book was a summary of the 108 forms. Dissecting the essence is incredibly difficult. The revolution of the universe laws, with its perfect form, as for its essence, it requires one to constantly dissect it. Even the 1st of March pictures of the 9 universe tablet only displayed the 108 wonders within those 108 drops of rain. These sort of complicated methods, I cannot function or dissect it. I can only use blade forms to fully explain these 108 wonders. Comprehension is incredibly difficult. And these 108 wonders, the 1st of September are the easiest, the middle 27 are hard, the 27 plus the first 9 forms the second picture of the drizzling, the final 72 are the hardest, these 72 plus the earlier 36 form the perfect rainstorm. The 1st of September, even though they are the easiest, unless one is an absolute genius with pinnacle comprehension and mental stability, it's extremely hard to train. Back then I studied in Primal Chaos City for 3,000 years before I finally created the floating blood. If it were in the actual universe, it would take at least 10,000 years. I have these 2 pieces of advice to the warriors in the future. 1. If you are in Primal Chaos City and you've trained for 20 years without comprehending the first blade form, give up on floating blood. Go learn from other paths and slowly comprehend them. This path doesn't suit you. 2. If you are in the actual universe and you've trained for 200 years without comprehending the first blade form, similar to above, just give up. These final 2 lines in the first book made Luo Feng frown. Yes. Before on the balcony, seeing the large amount of words left behind by Lian Luo saying he studied for 3,000 years, this meant that it took a total of 3,000 years of study for him to accomplish this. Studying in Primal Chaos City, one could look up to see the obvious universe laws revolve, even though the efficiency was much higher, he still took that long, 20 years? Luo Feng said softly, revealing a smile. If one hasn't comprehended the first blade form in 20 years, give up on floating blood. Absolute genius. Absolute comprehension and mental stability. In terms of talent and comprehension, the Mosha clan clone is very capable. In terms of stability and mental state, maybe I'm weaker than my 2 brothers. However, at least I'm able to maintain absolute cold calmness. Luo Feng thought, talent, comprehension and mental state, these 3 should be considered pretty high. The talent of his earth body in the vast universe could be considered not bad, however it could never reach the absolute state of which Lian Luo spoke of in the manual. The Mosha clan body. That was the strong body. This was the ultimate assassin amongst countless races in the vast universe, the favored of space itself. In terms of talent, there wasn't one amongst the human race that could match up to the Mosha clan in terms of the space origin law. The Mosha clan training the space origin law had the fastest comprehension, that along with Luo Feng's mental state. The conditions were good. Primal Chaos City, the chaos energy revolved. On a particular balcony of this ancient city, Luo Feng stood, gazing into the distant city and the wasteland outside. Floating blood technique is explained through blade forms. However, the blade forms can be swiftly trained in. Luo Feng pondered, the first book had many explanations of the blade forms. Through incredibly complex blade forms, allowing one to experience and finally comprehend the first wonder that was the core of the first blade form. Blade and saber, these were both close combat weapons. The blade emphasized on piercing. The saber emphasized on slashing. However, the illusionary saber that Luo Feng used forms from the blood illusionary forms. The entire length of the saber was 108 centimeters, the edge was 80 centimeters, and the width was 5.3 centimeters. It had some changes from the saber the one he used on Earth. Just from the appearance one could see that this one focused on piercing. There were a few other 2-handed huge blades that were even more similar to a wild saber compared to Luo Feng's. Having used the golden illusionary saber for long, changing to a blade now wasn't too difficult. In terms of close combat talent, especially when using a blade, of my 3 bodies, there's no doubt the Mosha clan is the strongest. Luo Feng thought, then, let's begin. Luo Feng sat cross-legged, raising his head to look at the splits in the sky that had crystal threads and revolving origin laws. It was simply mesmerizing. Like the thousands and tens of thousands of warriors in Primal Chaos City, Luo Feng began to quietly study. The primal chaos spirits had beneficial effects on the soul. However, just like eating medicine, it lost its potency gradually as one consumed more. Luo Feng had hunted for over 8 months. Initially, the spirits made his soul constantly evolve. However, as it evolved more, the effects of the spirits diminished. Especially in the recent 2 months, the evolution itself became almost unnoticeable. That's right. If one could evolve limitlessly, then simply relying on the primal chaos spirits could make one's soul evolve to undying. It was a pity, there was no such good thing. No wonder they all simply sit and quietly study. Only newcomers would head outside the city to hunt. So, to many domain lords and sector lords, they've already had their fill of the primal chaos spirits. It's no wonder there are still so many surviving beasts outside the city. Luo Feng sat on the balcony, looking up at the origin laws revolving about, experiencing it. Within his internal world, the Mosha clan body had taken the form of a black-clothed Luo Feng, wielding the dark red blade. This blade was something Barbata had created from using several machines and alloys within his storage space. With no special properties, it was a very simple alloy blade, completely fulfilling the conditions of the floating blood manual. Within the black-clothed Luo Feng, the 10,081 surfaced life crystal had incredibly complex golden engravings on them all. These glowing engravings gave off a resonance and ripple with the universe space itself. Over 1,000 images appeared. The blade form was magnificent. The Mosha clan was naturally apt at using close combat weapons, especially bad forms that were infused with the space origin laws. It was suited for such skills. Not right, it should be this way. Yes, very good. The black-clothed Luo Feng and Luo Feng himself shared the same soul. The two naturally viewed the space splits and the universe origin laws revolving together, experiencing it and unleashing the blade forms. Luo Feng's Earth body himself would occasionally reflect against the 9-universe tablet and the manual within the virtual universe. Time flowed, days passed. Even though Luo Feng had passed the first level of the Heavenly Bridge and received yet another chance to study the tablet, he was in no rush to go immediately. According to the explanation within the floating blood manual, every chance to study had to be grasped and treasured. One couldn't waste time within. One first had to completely understand and comprehend everything from before, and continue pondering and studying. Only when they left with a large amount of questions and doubts again should they go see the tablet once more. As one would ponder for a long time, with large amounts of questions, going to see the tablet would easily answer much of it, understanding more from before. This way, the efficiency was high. After all, the chances to study the 9-universe tablet were limited. China 2075 June 9, Luo Feng acquired the floating blood manual and began his training in Primal Chaos City. Year 2075 September, Gu Sai Luo passed the first level on the bridge, and after a few days, Long Yun too passed the first level. Year 76 January, Luo Feng entered the city leader's residence and began to study the tablet again. He spent 7 days, constantly comprehending answers to his questions about the first blade form in his mind, and even feeling something special. The 9-universe tablet was completely for bringing one into the space origin lore itself. Year 76 to 77, the Mancha Prince Wuke, Qian Shui of the Genius siblings, many from the absolute beginning had all passed the first level. Even though it seemed like Wuke, Qian Shui, and the others were slow. In truth, the time in the primal universe flowed slower. China had seen 3 years gone by, and yet in Primal Chaos City only one had passed. In truth, Wuke, Qian Shui, and the others weren't slower than Luo Feng by even a year. During the second and third year in Primal Chaos City, the Heaven and Ground region, the last phase region's geniuses began to all pass through the first level. This batch of 1,000 geniuses, with only a bit over 800 survivors, the last to pass the first level was during the end of the 4th year. Within Primal Chaos City, the other geniuses began to liven up, all heading out frequently and later realizing the effects diminishing. Everybody slowly began to stop heading out to hunt the beasts, only occasionally heading out to use them as test subjects for their comprehension. Everyone spent their time sitting on the balconies. In the actual universe, China year 2082 August, Luo Feng's older son Luo Ping had married and had a child in the same year. After all, during the base era, many usually married at the age of 19, and this year, Luo Ping was already 22. Luo Feng was speechless. He had already become a grandfather? Year 86, Earth's bases began to expand, as it had already been over 20 years since the swallowing beast incident. Over these 20 years, with the Earth's upper echelon not controlling the masses and birth, many were encouraged to have more children. Since humanity at risk before, it was better to have more children. However, now, after Earth began to interact more with the universe, discovering how vast it was with trillions of other races, Earth's humans were simply too little. Naturally they wouldn't control them. And with technology advancing at an extreme rate, feeding and housing everybody became a much easier thing to do. Year 88, Earth's humans, they occupied more territory. The humans of Earth also got stronger and stronger. In truth, the reason behind why they never fully killed all the wild beasts, to the Earth humans, they were the perfect training ground for the fighters. Year 89, Luo Feng's smaller son Luo Hai began to enter the universe to explore. His older son Luo Ping was more steady, however Luo Hai worshipped his father and headed into the universe to explore. Luo Feng couldn't help it, he could only arrange for him to enter the Ganwu dojo. Year 92, Earth's humans, in the Pacific, Indian Ocean, and many other oceans, a few large constructed cities on islands were built. This represented the humans of Earth finally entering the sea areas. Year 99, the expedition to Mars began. Of course, the most stunning thing for Luo Feng was China. Year 2103, his own grandson, also Luo Ping's son from before his marriage, also got married. My God. If this kept going, his time in Primal Chaos City was over 30 years, the actual universe time was over 100 years. 100 years, he feared that his own great-grandchildren and great-great-grandchildren would have been born by then. No wonder, these ancient beings after trillions of years, have trillions in their imperial family. This multiplication is indeed too fast. Luo Feng was helpless. And when 30 years had passed on Earth, only 10 years had passed in Primal Chaos City. Earth had huge transformations. And in the distant ancient Primal Chaos City, Luo Feng had quietly sat there for 10 years. Primal Chaos City. As the sacred land of humanity had existed for trillions of years, there was hardly any change within these 10 years. Chaos energy still engulfed it, there were still countless warriors on their balconies. If there was a camera recording the images of for the last 10 years, one would realize that majority of the warriors hadn't moved at all. Is coming. In the air above Primal Chaos City stood two powerful-looking silhouettes. One was an ape-man in golden armor, his eyes seemed like they could see through space itself. Beside him was another slightly skinnier man with pale complexion in white armor with two black horns. The space around him seemed to be warping. The most peculiar thing was he kept his eyes closed. Rumble. In the distance a dark blue Ark Universe ship appeared. Tru Yang, Tong Nan. A clear voice resounded. Dressed in a dark blue armor, with purple long hair, a beautiful lady flew out the cabin door as the ship behind her vanished. Jade. Tru Yang's voice was cheerful. That white-robed skinny man who had his eyes closed also smiled and shouted, Jade, it's been a while, you two have been staying in Primal Chaos City and studying, rarely even entering the virtual universe. And I've been in the actual universe, how can we even meet? Jade smiled. Her entire being was almost like a jade statue, giving off a clear dreamy feeling, almost like she wasn't in the same space and time at all. Come to where I am staying. The white-robed skinny man smiled. In a moment, in a peculiar construct, where light and darkness were incomparably harmonious. Tru Yang Emperor, Tong Nan Emperor and Jade Emperor, these three were absolute beings with high amounts of power within the virtual universe. They sat around each other. Tastes good. Jade lifted a crystal wine glass and took a sip. This liquid, which had stars floating and revolving within, looked extremely beautiful. Ha. To be able to drink this 5-star galaxy, I've gotten some of the benefits from Jade. Tru Yang strongly swallowed the wine liquid in one gulp and rubbed his chin gently after. His eyes staring wide, he complimented, Tong Nan, this blind man is very petty. He's been with me for over 100 million years, and only let me drink this once. It's very expensive. Tong Nan said softly, you just drank 30,000 mixed elements. Don't be so petty, give me some more. Back then when you were in the universe secret area, you earned quite a bit. Yet, just drinking a bit of wine makes you feel the pinch? Tru Yang laughed and mocked, grabbing the bottle again. The entirely black cylinder was on the table. Tong Nan Emperor didn't even stop him, allowing Tru Yang to grab it. Tru Yang shot a glance at Jade Emperor. Jade, your reputation is still bigger. Jade Emperor smiled and looked at Tong Nan Emperor. As eternal beings that have been around for so long, even if they helped their families live for 1,000 eras, as time flowed like a river, their close ones had all still died. Hence, True Yang Emperor, Jade Emperor, and Tong Nan Emperor didn't have any family left. To them, these friends that had been through thick and thin with them were their family. True Yang, Tong Nan, Jade, they all used to be a team, they were good friends in life and death situations. They experienced peril time and again. Their bonds were deep, especially between Tong Nan and Jade. These two had even a trace of romance. However, these two had never actually acted upon it. Even though they understood each other's thoughts, they still maintained their distance. They were used to this feeling too. After all, they were good friends and partners. Your arrival this time is for? Tong Nan Emperor asked, on Knight's orders. Jade smiled, Nine-Blade Knight? True Yang asked, shocked, what is the Knight making you do here? The Knight pays close attention to this new batch. They need to stay in Primal Chaos City for over 30 years, and 1/3 of the time has already passed. As such, there should already be some definite progress. Jade smiled, and the Knight himself will only come on the last day itself to receive this new batch. As for regular supervision, naturally he would send people under him. Hence I've come. Tong Nan the blind man nodded, right, this new batch was received by Nine-Blade Knight. If a strong warrior emerges, he will be under Nine-Blade Knight, right? Jade smiled, even though this batch's chances of becoming undying are very low, there should still be a few. With their talent and our virtual universe company's heavy nurturing, the moment they become undying, they will definitely be more than ordinary. Naturally, the Knight has to pay attention to his future underlings. For every genius battle and warrior battle, the virtual universe company would send a Knight to host it. Whoever hosts any genius that later becomes undying would then be arranged to be under that host. If there wasn't such a reason, with the Knight status, would there be a need for him to send the new batch into Primal Chaos City and later personally receive them again? This new batch is not bad, especially that Bolin. Half a year ago he already cleared the 4th level. Tong Nan Emperor lifted his wine glass, gently sipping. From the others, 7 of them have passed the 2nd level. The rest have only passed the 1st level so far. These 7 are Gu Sai Luo, Long Yun, Jiolai 11, Dao, Qian Shui, Wuka, and Rong Jun. Rong Jun broke through the 2nd level in his 4th year. True Yang smiled, Dao did so in the 7th year. Gu Sai Luo, Long Yun, Jiolai 11 all passed the 2nd level in their 8th, Wuka and Qian Shui in their 9th. Jade smiled, I know. In terms of strength, Bolin is number 1 and Rong Jun is 2nd. The 6 behind them, Dao, Gu Sai Luo, Long Yun, Jiolai 11, Wuka, and Qian Shui don't have huge differences in levels. Perhaps that Blood Axe Dao is leading by a little. Right, wasn't there a Luo Feng with good performance earlier? Not clear. Tong Nan shook his head, True Yang would know. He's been keeping an eye on that punk, True Yang. Jade looked at the 8-man warrior, this Luo Feng. True Yang rubbed his chin, and then his head. He was frowning, how do I put it? When he first came, his performance was good. However, these 10 years have been peculiar. This punk spent some time hunting the beasts outside, after which he has been sitting on the balcony studying. He has not once attempted the bridge. Jade nodded, smiling, I've come this time specifically to observe them. The first target is Bolin. The Knight had also complimented Bolin. Each level of the heavenly bridge gets increasingly more difficult. The difficulty rises in a compounding ratio. I initially thought that he would take 20 years to pass the 4th level. Who would have thought he would do so in 10 instead? Jade exclaimed and smiled, the 2nd is Rong Jun, he was number 2 in this batch. I estimate he will pass the 3rd level in these few years, right? Tong Nan and True Yang nodded, 4 years after coming to Primal Chaos City and passing the 2nd level. Especially this year, he's already tried twice, is not far from passing the 3rd level. True Yang laughed, and with the Yuan Chen Universe country leader as his personal teacher, how could his improvement be slow? Even though they were complimenting Rong Jun, within he was still unsatisfied. It was because Rong Jun and Bolin both weren't from the 9 Universe sect. My sect's Luo Feng is studying the floating blood. Was it a mistake? Dissecting the universe space law essence is incredibly difficult, as it stumped him. True Yang was worried within. Going down the wrong path was a waste of time. If he didn't pass that path, then Luo Feng would have wasted 10 years of time. Jade Emperor, under the Nine-Blade Knight's orders, had come to observe the new batch. With Jade Emperor's strength, observing them from far away was not a problem at all. This new batch wouldn't even detect or feel her. This Bolan is really not bad, indeed a number one genius from 10 million years. Jade floated above amidst the chaos energy. Looking at the distant Bolan training in the wastelands, Bolan's gaze was firm and strong, almost as though nothing could influence him. This Rongjan is a natural-born warrior. However, just what about him has attracted the two country leaders? Jade stood in the air, surveying another distant balcony. That messy-haired barefooted Rongjan was practicing his forms, occasionally looking up to observe the universe laws revolving. Longyun, he is very steady. If he can work on his strength, his future is limitless. Wuka is indeed a genius of the Manka generation. His battle talents aren't that far away from Rongjan's. Jade slowly observed each of the new batch, making deductions within and getting ready to return and report to the Nine-Blade Knight. This is Luo Feng. Jade walked within an alley of Primal Chaos City. Looking in a not-too-distant balcony, there was a black youth in dark grey armor who had his eyes shut and was motionless. 10 years of time had caused his hair to grow long and draped over his shoulders. Has his study reached a fork? Jade Emperor thought. Universe warriors studying the universe origin laws would occasionally make a wrong turn in their studies. Sometimes they would only realize their mistake after a few years. As for reaching a fork in this study, in the vast universe, the many races of warriors had all seen this frequently. They weren't afraid of these forks. They were only afraid of making a wrong turn and not realizing it. These 30 years are your most precious 30 years, little punk, all the best. Jade Emperor turned and left. On that balcony, Luo Feng sat cross-legged. No one knew that in his internal world. The Mosha clan was engaged in mad training over and over. For a total of 10 years, the Mosha clan had never even stopped training. He was immersed in the thrill of dissecting the universe origin law essence and did not even feel the flow of time rumble. On the balcony, the energy around Luo Feng, who was sitting quietly cross-legged, shook, dust dispersed, and he opened his eyes. He stood up completely. As he gazed into the distance, Primal Chaos City was still exactly the same. Time left absolutely no trace on it at all. How long was I training this time? Luo Feng asked. This time was longer than those before, 3 years and 9 months. Barbata replied. Luo Feng gently waved his hand, leaving behind a palm print in space. He was smiling. If I cannot comprehend this in 20 years, I have to give up. Luckily it was only 10 years. I've spent 10 years to finally completely comprehend the first blade form. At least I have the right to train this floating blood. I should go attempt the Heavenly Bridge. Virtual Universe, Heavenly Bridge. Dressed in full armor and boots, Luo Feng appeared at the center of the island, causing the watchman Bevan to get a shock as he looked over, smiling. It's been about 10 years, how come you haven't come at all? Your comrades all try a few times each year. I didn't want to get distracted from training. Luo Feng smiled and walked over. The watchman Bevan was surprised as he looked at the black-haired youth. He felt like Luo Feng wasn't the same as before. I want to attempt the Nine-Universe Bridge. Can I go in now? Luo Feng asked. There's no one on the Nine-Universe Bridge now. Watchman Bevan smiled. Thanks. Luo Feng's every step. Sure. 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 Left behind a trail of images. While his actual being had already reached the Nine-Universe Bridge itself, he feels different from before. Watchman Bevan muttered. Nine-Universe Heavenly Bridge, it was built over a vast ocean, reaching way past the horizons. Luo Feng had already passed the first level, hence he could fly directly towards the second level. At the end, there was a huge cloud mist. From the mist a voice resounded. Choose your opponent. You can choose a fighter, spirit reader, controller or hypnotist. Pick anyone and win over your opponent and you'll have completed your second level. I choose. Luo Feng slowly descended from mid-air, firmly landing on the bridge. Fighter. A black liquid flew out from the mist and it swiftly gathered and formed a mysterious person who was wearing a mask in black armor. This mysterious man carried 2 blades. He was slightly taller and bigger than Luo Feng, and he emitted a powerful aura as he stared coldly at Luo Feng. Kai. Luo Feng used his right hand to brush past his forehead. The blade energy around his hand was extremely sharp. With a brush, he immediately cut his long hair off, returning to that 3-inch length hairstyle from before. Whatever he looks like in reality, the virtual universe too would automatically simulate. I'm really not used to long hair. Luo Feng smiled. The mysterious man carrying 2 blades stared coldly at Luo Feng. Take out your weapon. I'll satisfy you. Luo Feng smiled. 2 weapons immediately appeared in his hand. In his left was a 6-edged shield, the Absolute Void Shield, and in his right was a Blood Shadow Blade, the Golden Shadow Blade. Yes? Luo Feng was going to use his own blade techniques to pass the second level. After understanding the universe space origin law's first basic wonder, whether it's the Nanshan armament or blade techniques, it could be used with anything. This was just a path. Once one understands the path, he can swiftly meld it with different weapons and techniques. The black-clothed man let out a snort, and with a swish, he immediately landed fiercely on the bridge. He rushed towards Luo Feng, almost like lightning as he brandished his two blades. Bring it! Luo Feng's eyes gleamed with madness and his mad battle spirit exploded. Rumble! Luo Feng rushed forward, leaving behind an image on the ground while another appeared before the black-armored man, Berry. His eyes were piercing. With a roar, the blood shadow blade in his right hand slashed with intense power. It was almost as if it was slashing through a mountain range or even the ocean, right towards the black-armored man, so fast. The black-armored man was shocked. He quickly used both blades in his arms to block it. The black-armored man was knocked so hard that he knelt on the ground with one knee and slid backwards. Whang! When his knee hit the ground, it caused the bridge to shake slightly. What a powerful blade! The black-armored man was shocked, following which he fiercely stood up. The black-armored man flew up and 6 images appeared in mid-air. All of them wielding 2 blades. The most peculiar thing, they all seemed to be unleashing different techniques altogether, simultaneously attacking Luo Feng. Ha ha, Luo Feng actually laughed madly and rushed in, world's end. The blood shadow blade in his hand left behind a blurred image in mid-air. It slashed past the 6 images and causing the 6 black-armored men to immediately fly backwards and crumble, leaving behind only one real body. Hatred! Luo Feng immediately appeared above the black-armored man. His right arm violently warped, causing the armor to expand. The muscles that appeared through the armor seemed to be steel-reinforced bars, seemingly extremely powerful. With a flash of madness, this blade immediately slashed down. The black-armored man could barely withstand it with his 2 blades. Rumble! The black-armored man was immediately knocked downwards. With a loud clash, he smashed into the bridge. He couldn't help but spit out fresh blood, and later landing within the mist-filled ocean. I don't believe. From the ocean he roared and floated back towards the sky. Luo Feng rushed back towards the bridge and smiled widely. I'll defeat your belief, illusion, nightmare, hatred, pensive, heaven's end. Luo Feng was almost like a hard-to-follow fighter. That peculiar movement appeared time again before the black-armored man, and each blade was hard to receive. Be it fierce and mad or hard to predict, the most peculiar thing was, every blade form was extremely terrifying and mixed up. It made the black-armored man have no way to resist. Relying on these 6 moves will take a bit of time. Luo Feng stood on the ocean surface, thinking. He was using the Mosha clan's illusionary 7 blades that his Mosha body had been studying. The illusionary 7 blades had 7 techniques in total. They were nightmare, illusion, pensive, berry, Dutchman's pipe, heaven's end and hatred. Naturally these names were simply Luo Feng's translation from universe language. However, in Mandarin the names were barely close to the original meanings. These 7 blades, none of them were weaker or stronger than the other. Some were fit to fight against numbers, while others were fit for assassination. Some were fit for close combat, while others were more strength-based. All these moves had their own usages. When training the illusionary 7 blades, different people would have different strengths. Luo Feng's favorite was Dutchman's pipe. It was like picking one of the flowers. Back when the Mosha clan studied the illusionary manual, it emphasized on this Dutchman pipe technique. This move was suited for assassination. It was like dancing on the edge of a blade, a situation where one would close up completely with the opponent and slash it out. In the universe, as the warriors had extreme speeds, even fighters wouldn't close in completely on an opponent. This move was an extremely close technique. It was meant to stick completely to your opponent. When the blades clash and the flower appears, one would take the opponent's life. As he had studied it for a long time, this move, after Luo Feng had comprehended the first wonder of the space law, he was able to infuse this Dutchman's pipe with this first wonder. Hence he didn't have time to infuse the 7 illusionary 7 blades other 6 techniques with the first wonder yet. In the past, Luo Feng was simply relying on 10 years of study and his comprehension of the laws to oppress his opponent. Luo Feng descended from mid-air and landed on the bridge. If you want to kill me, it won't be that easy. In mid-air the black-armored man wielding 2 blades was obviously in a sorry plight. He landed on the bridge too, his eyes fixed on the black-haired youth. The next move I am about to unleash is called the Dutchman's pipe. Luo Feng smiled at the black-armored man. To be able to die by this move is your honor, the black-armored man snorted. Su! Luo Feng immediately rushed towards the black armored man. He flipped the way he held the blood illusionary blade, an extremely swift and moving arc beam of light rushed forward. The black armored man stared wide-eyed. No. The two blades in his hands immediately became countless images, covering himself entirely. Dang. The beautiful arc beam of light slashed through, blocked it. The black armored man relaxed for a moment and thought suspiciously, why was it so light? Luo Feng's blurry image followed that arc beam of light and suddenly lit up, appearing right before the black armored man. At this point, the distance between the two of them was less than 2 m. With a sudden blurry movement, the arc beam of light lit up again and slashed past the man immediately. It was so fast that he didn't even have time to react, having his throat cut. The slash cut right through and his head was split open, as fresh blood spewed out. Too fast, the black armored man stared wide-eyed. Not even having the time to say anything, he died and his body returned to the black liquid within the white mist. Dutchman's pipe of the illusionary 7 blades. Right, it's fast. Luo Feng flipped his hand and the blade appeared before him. Blowing it with a light breath, the blood dripped off the edge. His eyes filled with glee. The moment the Dutchman's pipe appears, it follows the space ripple's most essential arc. This blade is truly fast and vicious. Only after comprehending the first wonder of the space law, did Luo Feng's blade have the right to be called the Dutchman's pipe. As for the other 6 techniques, they were simply in the beginner Form 3 road level. Luo Feng looked at the mist before him dissipate, and headed towards the 3rd level of the bridge. This 3rd bridge, I can't be too flashy here. The blade techniques are after all due to the Mosha clan's proficiency. I'll use the Nanshan armament in the 3rd level. Luo Feng thought. His earth body's strongest technique was still spirit weapons, following which he swiftly flew into the air and followed the bridge to the 3rd level, right to the end of where one could see Primal Chaos City. Tong Nan Emperor looked below. True Yang Emperor, Tong Nan Emperor and Jade Emperor sat together, leaving so early. True Yang was shocked. I've been in Primal Chaos City for close to 20 days. Whatever I need to observe, I've seen. Bolan and Rongjun are the most exceptional, the others have their own specialties. Jade Emperor smiled. It's time to return and face the night. Tong Nan Emperor frowned. True Yang naturally frowned too, shocked. What's up? Tong Nan and Jade Emperor looked over shocked. It's that Luo Feng punk, he just passed the 2nd level. True Yang could barely contain his happiness, smiling. Just 2 ND level? Jade nodded. He is after all one of the exceptional ones. He should have passed the 2nd level much earlier. Even though he's a little slower than the others now, but it's just a little. Wuka and Xian Shui only passed the 2nd level in their 9th year. No, he passed it using close combat. True Yang said. Close combat. Tong Nan and Jade were shocked. Everybody had their specialties. A controller was a controller, a fighter was a fighter. The strong usually focused on what they were proficient in, and Luo Feng was a controller, just relying on close combat. He passed the 2nd level? His close combat ability is no weaker than Wuka or Long Yun then. Jade's eyes gleamed. Let's go quickly to the heavenly bridge, let's go. Tong Nan said too. At least Jade wasn't leavening immediately. Ha, I definitely saw something in him earlier, he's not average. True Yang laughed loudly, muttering within, this punk, his close combat is comparable to Long Yun or Wuka, truly demonic. The 3 absolute beings sent their consciousness immediately into the virtual universe network heavenly bridge. This video will end here. Thank you for watching.